but I'm back with another segment on duck. I did one a little bit earlier before we had better lighting in this kitchen, so I thought I would do it again. I am doing some duck breast here, which I've put a little bit of what I call duck spice. It's about 16 different things. I'll give you the primary ones, or things that you should know about. I use caraway, I use cumin, I use coriander, I use the C's, okay? And I use a lot of other things too. There's cardamom, there's just a whole bunch of spices in there. I'm doing the duck breast with plums. These are red plums. I've taken a little bit of rosé wine. I don't know if the lighting here is a little funny, right? Some sugar. To that, I am going to add some ginger, a little bit of cardamom, allspice, star anise, and some cloves. So I'm just going to drop that. I've cooked the alcohol off, and basically what I have is kind of like a simple syrup made with rosé. The plums are going to go in. I have some kohlrabi. Kohlrabi is also known as German turnips. They're really such a cool vegetable. They're part of the cabbage and broccoli family. I've taken some chicken soup because I didn't have any chicken stock, and I'm going to glaze the kohlrabi. I have cooked down the kohlrabi. Now I'm going to add a little butter at the end. Love mustard greens. Mustard greens is going to be another vegetable that's on the plate. They are the leaf, the mustard plant. So there's some celery root here, which I've cubed. It's cooked with, usually I use milk and cream. Today I used 2% milk because I had 2% milk and cream. What I'm going to do is I'll put it in the VitaPrep blender, and we'll add a touch of butter, and we'll use the cooking liquid in there too. So let's get started. All right, so I'm going to get the duck in the pan. So I'm using a duck breast that I'm going to be honest, I usually dry these duck just like this on a wire rack. If I can do it 5, 6, 7 days in a refrigerator, great. I will be honest with you, I've done none of that, okay? And the reason why we like to dry the duck is there's a lot of water in here right now. I did salt it about an hour ahead of time. I'm kind of treating it like red meat, sort of doing like a dry brine. I'm going to re-season.
What kind of duck are you using?
I'm using Rohan duck, which is a proprietary duck breast of D'Artagnan, my good friends at D'Artagnan. So this is a really cool product. There's some people that really like to cook duck very slowly in the pan with no fat. I'm in a hurry. I'm going to go ahead and put the heat high, right, just to get a little sear. And I put a little bit of oil in the pan. Some people don't like to do that at all. There's a good amount of fat on duck, so a lot of times you can just go to the pan on low heat and start rendering the fat out. While this is working, I'm going to take our celery root. I'll take it out, put it in the blender. Celery root's trying to leave. I don't want to add too much. And you can do whatever you want with celery root. A lot of times you can add apple to it. You can add parsnip. But today we're just going to keep it simple. We're just going to add the celery root. And what I like to do each time I do that, I'll do a pinch of salt. I like generally to use white pepper in this so that you don't see the speck, but use whatever pepper you have.
And what was that you just dropped in there?
What was that?
What was it that you dropped in there?
Salt and pepper.
No, in the bowl.
The bowl. In here?
The clear bowl. You put garlic clove in there?
No, I took salt.
Oh.
Now I just put a little butter. Did you see that? I'll start out on low. And this time, we start the blender on low. That's pretty good. That's basically what I'm looking for. If you want it super smooth, you could always pass it through a fine mesh strainer, but I'm looking for some texture here. This is what our plum mix looks like. It's simmering in this rosé simple syrup. And at the very end, when it comes out, I'll add a little garlic. Right now, I just want to seal the top of the duck before it goes in the oven. So I could go the whole way. If this duck were really dried, we could gently cook it for like 20 minutes, just like this. And it's a great result. And then I'm going to crash the sauce. What is crash the sauce? That's like a cooking term, cooking slang. I mean, not that slang anymore, but we're just going to reduce that plum liquid. And that's going to be basically, if you will, think of like duck à l'orange. You do like an orange sauce. Here, you know, we're making a plum sauce. By the way, plums are in season. So go out and get some plums. All right, let's pull this duck. So we get the heat back on. Generous amount of thyme and rosemary. If you have sage, you can use sage. I leave the garlic in these husks, but I do push down on it to release. And what I'm going to do right now, I just give it a quick taste. All I'm trying to do really now, I like to do this when the duck comes out, get some flavor from the garlic. This isn't really, I mean, if the pan is ripping, it'll cook. The fat does, to some extent, cook the top. Remember, we're skin side down the whole way here. I'm going to turn it for a second and let it sit in the fat with the heat off just to finish it. Now you can smell, beautiful smell from the garlic and the thyme and the rosemary. And all that garlic is just pooled down here on the bottom. So you have the rendered duck fat mixing with the garlic and the thyme. The duck pan is working. All right. Right there. Beautiful. And now, I'm just going to turn with my spoon. I'm going to turn the heat off. By the way, when you dry the duck for a bunch of days, see how the skin is shriveling up here? All the water kind of leaves the duck and you get a better ratio of skin. It doesn't shrink on you like that, but this will still be okay. We're just going to let that sit there for a couple of minutes. I got my plum juice working here. We'll get ready. We want to reduce that all the way down. We're going to add a knob of butter in there, and I'm going to gently wilt these, and we're going to get ready to eat. All right, so we are getting ready to plate. What I have here is the butter swirling in with the chicken stock at the end to get a nice glaze on these. In the meantime, I took the pan that we cooked the duck in and I wiped out the fat, but I still like a little bit of the flavor that that pan has. And I'm going to take a little bit of olive oil right in. Now with this, I'm not really looking to cook the mustard greens too much. I want them to be spicy. There's a little water on these greens, so that's not the best, but I'll season these greens when they're done. I don't suggest that you put your hand right in this pan. That's probably not a good idea. But you know the cooks, they can withstand anything, any heat. That's not really true. I've seen people pull that, where they do that, and they try to play it off like they're fine, and then once nobody's looking, they're not fine. I think that's just about right. Just about right. Well, one guy got away. Maybe I have some tongs. That's huge tongue. Huge. Actually, it was good that there was a little water in the pan, because I'm kind of just steaming, right? And I'm looking for the volume to come down, and then I'll season it. If I put a lot of salt, when you first put the mustard greens, you go, oh my God, there's a million mustard greens in there. You go, ooh. And then you realize that, you know, it's inedible. Touch. All right, so I'm just gonna take the celery root, it's still hot from the blender. We're gonna make like a restaurant. We're gonna make like a restaurant. We're gonna do like a restaurant preparation. This scene in Goodfellas where one of the guys says he doesn't know how to make a restaurant. I'm gonna try to make a restaurant here. Now, this offset spatula that is totally flat, which means that I can't. That's what I call sabotage. Okay, so that's cool. That's step number one, right? Step number two is to wipe the plate. I'm gonna cut it on a towel. It's been resting. I cut it on a towel because I don't want any blood on the plate. And that's pretty nice. I mean, that's a nice medium through. This particular Rohan duck I've had, I think if it's too rare, it's a little tougher for me. I like it just sort of cooked through. And what I'm gonna do, right? Just like that. Just so that when I go to the plate, I'm gonna get, and you could trim the back side of that so that it stays straight. I just got lucky. I'm going to use, you know the story with me, right? I always use my fingers. This is true with a lot of applications though, is that if I really want to get this in the right place, sometimes I notice that it's really good, better to use your fingers. I'm going to play with fire. Here we go, right here. Oh, don't tell anybody. Underneath, or we could give it, you know. I'm gonna go just a little over here, and that's it. What I would do, take this flake salt. I keep it in the bag and I keep it in the fridge. I'm a little bit of a salt maniac. I think it's got more salinity that way. Anyway, just a little bit on the top, and the dish is done. So here I have a Rohan duck breast, slightly spiced with my crazy assorted spices: cumin, coriander, caraway, cardamom, seeds, some wilted mustard greens, a braised kohlrabi that we glazed in some chicken stock and butter, the plums that are cooked in rosé, like a rosé simple syrup. Plums are in season. Go eat plums with duck.